KFSR and CMAC present the Central Valley Ledger, a public affairs program featuring stories from all over the Central Valley with Sevag Tateosian, 90.7 KFSR.
I'm your host, Sevag Tateosian. Welcome to the Central Valley Ledger. We're here in the Merlin D. Burris studio on the beautiful campus of California State University, Fresno. And our guest this week is Craig Scharton. Craig has a new project going.
Well, you just can't sit still.
And I've learned that about you is you like to just, work on projects and get things going. And so before we talk about your Fulton Street Investors LLC, let's kind of touch about Peeves a little bit because people are, asking me because, I remember you had soccer game there early.
Yeah.
One time it was like 5 in the morning. And
we did 4 in the morning, and I cooked for them.
4 in the morning, and you had a room full of people watching soccer. I thought, oh my goodness. So what's the latest on Peeves?
Well, it's a good question, and I always hesitate to answer it because things change so much, especially with a big project like the Fulton construction. That's moved around a little bit. So right now I'm kind of torn between either just holding on to it and waiting till the construction fences come down on our block, or maybe putting it up for sale if there was someone that really I felt like got what was going on downtown and building community and all that, which is so important.
And I'm sure people ask you all the time, hey, what's going on with Peeves? Because
if you think they're asking you, yeah, everywhere I go, I can't go to the grocery store or anywhere. But you know what is so great about that is that people care. I mean, having a business where people care enough to ask is just, a dream come true.
Well, and you kind of watched the whole Fulton process and the construction. And so if you were to say, rate where we are now, are we in good place with the construction? I mean, it's moving forward.
We're on track. Yeah, and the one good thing about a project that's 6 blocks long and 2 blocks wide is as they've run into maybe a basement that they didn't know that was there, they can jump somewhere else and work on that for a little bit until they get this thing shored up over here. The delay over here because of a PG&E transformer where they're going to do a sewer line. So they jump over here while they're redesigning it. So they feel very confident that they'll be on schedule for May 8th. The rest of us in the real world, we know there's some
hiccups
cushion in there, but that's the president of American Paving. We have a meeting for business and property owners every 2 weeks. They get a complete detailed update. You're welcome to join us. They're fascinating meetings because the project is just so big and so complicated. It's really interesting.
And you were able to get a following at Peeves on, social media that was great. I mean, everybody was tweeting and retweeting, Peeves. And by the way, your dog became a celebrity. Everybody knew what Peeves looked like.
Oh, believe me. I mean, I get, people say hi to him sometimes and don't even acknowledge me. It's the funny thing. I'm like, I knew him back when he was in the SPCA. He was a nobody. But it's really fun. It's a kick. He's, my best buddy, and it's fun to be able to take him around everywhere and the other day I took a picture of these 3 little boys who were just hugging all over him, and what a kick.
So if you were to say that the Fulton Mall or downtown Fresno needs something, what would that be? Because I go to work there on the Fulton Mall, and I drive, for years I've been driving near the mall and in downtown, and so slowly I start seeing people walking in the mornings.
Sure.
And slowly I start seeing buildings go up with housing, and so, I see it building and building and building, but what are we missing?
Well, downtown is not going to be what it can be until we have the grand reopening of Fulton Street. From that moment, and I don't care if anyone believes me or not, because I know what's going to happen because I've looked all over the country. When that street opens, businesses, restaurants, bars, coffee houses, music venues are going to open up, and there's enough density of space of buildings going up and of the number of businesses that are in that 6-block area that all of a sudden we're going to have a walkable downtown where you can take your wife and another couple and say, let's go downtown, and someone will say, where do you want to eat? And you'll say, I don't know, let's walk around and see what grabs us. And that's the moment that downtown is revitalized. And we're not there yet.
And could we go places, like when you say that, I think of like Old Town Pasadena, I think of some of the
Go
other
to
places.
Visalia.
Visalia, and so,
Right. Go to Main Street on Visalia. You could walk around, not know what you wanted, see a new place or a place you hadn't visited that catches your attention, and you're there. I mean, it is the closest, best downtown in the central San Joaquin Valley.
So how did this thing about Fulton Street Investors, LLC come about? It's not like you were sitting around doing nothing because, oh, you have nothing to do.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I'm going to do this. I mean, you're as long as I've known you, and I've known you for a while, you've always been doing something. And so how did this idea come about?
Well, so about 10 years ago, there was a project that everyone in my field rushed to go look at called, oh, no, I can't think of it, great, Market Creek Plaza in San Diego. So you can Google Market Creek Plaza, your viewers at home, so they can see what I'm talking about. So it was a shopping center in a low-income neighborhood that was underserved. And they said, someone had the idea that the neighbors around it could invest. And they had either, you could buy one share for $1,000 or two shares for $2,000, obviously. Two times 1,000 would be 2,000, just in case you're doing the math. So other people said, low-income people don't have any money. They're low income. They're not going to invest in this. Well, guess what? They pulled together their money. They bought $1,000. They bought $2,000 worth of shares, and they were now suddenly invested in this project. So if you're going to go shopping or get coffee or get your clothes cleaned, you're going to go to the shopping center where you are invested. And I always think, so if your kid gets caught graffitiing at the shopping center that you've invested in, whew, that's not going to go very well, right? Because that's a different level of investment.
And this kind of concept is not only San Diego. I mean, these kind of things have popped up all over.
Not very much.
Yeah.
I mean, so that one, we all rushed down to see. There's a $100 million foundation backing up that development. And we're like, well, this is all really cool, except we don't have a lot of $100 million foundations
Yeah,
around
they're not
the center.
sitting around just wondering where they're going to invest their
so we
hundred
go,
millions of dollars.
That was a wasted 12-hour drive because that's not replicable. So I saw one back east that happened, and the mayor actually met with them, but they're in a big magazine article, and so they were so busy we
That's
couldn't
the
get
one
them
I've
there.
seen.
Yep.
That's the one I've seen because other than San Diego, there's another one that I was.
Yeah, it was
looking
either
at.
in Arlington or what's the other one right next to
And they
Arlington?
turned a bad area. They turned a bad area into a good one where people started cleaning the streets and people started taking
they're
possession of.
investing.
Yeah.
And they only did a few buildings, which is also appealing to me. You don't have to do the whole thing. So I tried getting local lawyers to do it. None of them were interested. It's complicated. So I ran into an old Main Street director friend of mine. She's not old, but a longtime Main Street director friend of mine at a conference I was speaking at the Ahwahnee Hotel. She was working in the lobby, and we hugged, and I said, "What are you doing?" And she said, "I'm with a firm that's doing direct public offerings."
Wow.
And I'd been looking for 7 years.
Talk
And they
about
were
right
gonna
place at the
I
right
know.
time on that
and
one.
she was there because her husband was a city councilman from Fremont. She wasn't even there for the conference. I just happened to catch her at the exact, I mean, the chances of that happening are 1,000,000 to 1. So that put me on the path. I found, this law firm, Cutting Edge Capital, they're out of Oakland, and they're specializing in these direct public offerings, which allows, I mean, the wealthy people can invest in whatever they want. Over $1 million, the government lets you do whatever you want. But if you're not, you know, they exclude people from investing in these things. So I wanted to do something where it wasn't just wealthy people, that regular people could come together and be a part of building their own downtown. And again, I want this to be profitable, but I think there's a psychological and emotional piece to it that's attractive, because when we buy a really beat up building and we fix it up and it's beautiful, and you know you had a part in that, that's, I think, a really great connection. And then as I introduce the investors, so you're going to put in $500, you didn't know it yet.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And you get invited to that investor party, and you get to meet the local owner of the bistro, let's say, and you get to make that connection. And then I say, look, now when you come here for your anniversary or a business meeting or whatever, you're helping her pay rent, which now becomes your dividend.
Well, and how does that great that you're going to that place. So how does that work? Say I've got $500 laying around, and I say, you know what, I want to better the community, I want to better Fulton Mall. So I come to you and I invest the $500. Right. How do I get the dividend?
So every year we will look at our books, and we will take the net profit revenue, revenue minus expenses, what's left over, that goes back out to the investors.
Equally or based on share?
We don't call them shares, but you could think of them as shares. So if someone has 100 and you have 1, they're going to get 100 more dividend, 100 times more dividend than you, but they've invested 100 times more than you.
And how do I know that there's enough buildings for sale? So we've focused on the Fulton Mall, and there are some buildings that have recently been purchased there. So what's the process going to be to find the actual building?
Well, first of all, I'm putting the word out to every commercial real estate broker saying, start scouring, bring us the best deals. And, I'm in contact with a lot of property owners downtown, and I've been down there for a while, so I'm always looking. And, we'll just have to see what the best deals are that are available to us. But, we have a lot of pieces to this. There's this thing called social investment now, where you're really investing and you want it to be a good investment, but you're also investing to make a difference.
Yeah.
And so I don't want anyone to move their whole retirement over to us. Just move a little bit over. Invest. You want to get your dividends, of course. I do believe that values are going to go up after the street opens and as we continue to progress. But I think it's also important for people to say, well, my investment's going somewhere. It's in mutual funds. I don't even know a tenth of the companies I'm invested in. Let's invest in something locally that will make a difference in whether your kid decides to move back to Fresno because now there's a cool downtown, so there's good amenities here for them, or whether your granddaughter has a place that she can be proud of when she turns 21 to take her friends and they all want to go out and listen to music and have fun like they can in other cities. So it really is two parts. It has to be financially a good decision, but it also, I think, is a way for you to say, let me put 1% of my stock portfolio, which you could lose on any given day.
Right, and that's what I want to talk about too.
A little bit.
There's no guarantee that there's going to be dividends. I mean, obviously
there's never a guarantee that the company you invest in the stock market isn't going to go bankrupt either, right?
Right.
So there definitely, I want to say there are risks, but I've done everything I can to mitigate those. And again, boy, regular developers have tried to talk me out of having $500 investors. They wanted to make the cap 5,000, and I said, I want this to be accessible to regular people. The government, our regulators, they tried to make it harder for me to get regular folks to be able to invest, but argue, and we got as good as we can. But the other thing we're doing that's really weird is that I'm going to buy with cash and renovate with cash with this fund and not use loans, and I'll tell you why. I lived through the savings and loan crisis. I saw the tech bubble. We all lived through that last recession.
Housing, yeah.
And so I want to be very cautious knowing that we're using the community's resources to do this. So if there is a downturn or if revitalization is slower than we think it's going to be, that, we own it outright. If it takes 5 months longer to lease up, we're not going to lose our building because we aren't making a payment to the bank.
You recently had a meeting with community partners and people who are interested. How did that meeting go?
It was great. I did it right in the bottom of the Pacific Southwest building, so you could hear jackhammers and Caterpillar tractors and everything all over. So that was a little bit of showmanship, I guess, on my part. But I waited for the first person to say, "Well, how do we know this is going to happen?" And I could say, "I can't hear you over the noise of all the construction." But so we had a great turnout. Local media, just fantastic coverage, helping us get the word out. And, I could have done this anywhere. I wanted to launch it in my hometown. I wanted to do it in a way that other cities could replicate, but I wanted to make sure that it started here, and it was nice to have that kind of instant response.
So are you ready now to purchase, or
Yeah.
talk about where you are along the plan?
So the requirements from the state that regulates us is that we have to raise $1 million. So if you give me $500, it sits in that impound account until I get to $1 million. And then at that point, we're live. Then we can buy a building. So although I'm talking to a lot of property owners and real estate agents, I'm upfront about, I've got to raise this amount. So I'm not going to put it in a 30-day escrow unless I know I have the money. I'm not going to bother you.
Are you close to that amount? I mean, I'm sure once you hit it,
You'll know.
This is, yeah. Well, but once you hit it, there'll be a lot more people saying, "Oh, he got to the $1 million."
Sure, yeah. So I launched on Thursday, and there was just the money I put in to open the account, right? That was really our first day.
Yeah.
So now there's a little bit of a process that we have to do for you to invest. It's not like you can go online and put in your ATM card and that's it. I give you the offering memorandum, which spells out everything that we're doing, and then you get an investor questionnaire. I have basically 4 levels based on your net worth and income that you can invest. So I'm responsible for going through that and saying, okay, you qualify for a $500 investment or a $50,000 investment.
And
based
is that
on your
to
income.
protect the investor, or what?
Yeah, that is, which we could, as people that are interested in politics, we could argue the fact that you could go blow your entire life savings at a casino, but if you wanted to invest in a local fund buying downtown real estate, they're very scared for you. So, but anyway, that's what we work with. So step 1, you get the offering memorandum, then you fill out that questionnaire and give it back to me. Then we have a little contract that we both sign, and then eventually you write the check and we take it down to United Security Bank downtown. Just like everything else, we're using a downtown headquartered local bank.
So it sounds like you're kind of the only staff. I mean, talk about...
That is it. I can't spend a penny till I get $1 million. So, all of this legal work, getting all this done, going back and forth, arguing with the state, all of that has been just me. So I have had help from people that have wanted to pitch in with doing a logo or doing a video or PowerPoint presentation, those kinds of things, but which really you wouldn't want me to be doing. But other than that, yes, I'm there filling out the forms, sending them back, doing the emails. I'm my own executive assistant. But I like that because I want to be really, really cheap so that you can get a bigger dividend down the road.
What, and who are you aiming towards as your investors? Out of town, local?
Well, I would love to have as much of it local as possible, but we can go up to $4.5 million in terms of our total investment. So there are other foundations and banks and investors that like to invest their money in places, entities that are trying to make a better world. And so I will be appealing to those as well, as we only can get 500 small investors. And if you get 500 people at $500, that's only $250,000. So
And you
I will
have
have
to
to
get
raise
to
more money.
You have to get to your million, and then if you don't get there, the money gets returned.
Right.
But do they give you a time? Like, do they give you?
By May, I think it's May 14th, I have to raise the $1 million.
Wait, so they've given you such a short turnaround time
Yep.
of May of next year. So
I'm dancing fast, Sevag.
Well, and what is the average day like for you then?
Well, the nice thing is that people are, they've read the story in the newspaper or the Business Journal, the Fresno Bee, they've seen it on your show, and they're calling me and saying, I believe in downtown, I'm in with you, thanks for doing this. So it's a very positive, really, interaction right now. So we're either emailing or mailing. I tell everyone that says they're interested, I will meet you downtown and I'll show you the kinds of buildings that we're interested in here. It's basically the 1 to 3 story buildings, not the big tall ones that are going to take $15 million to do. Frankly, more revitalization happens in a downtown in those 2-story buildings than the big tall towers. So I'm really interested in doing those ground floor retail buildings. And that's where revitalization is really going to propel forward.
Why do this? I mean, you've got a lot of things you can be doing with your time. And some people are going to say, why is Craig even bothering with this?
It's one of those weird things. I've got to say, I've been interested in this most of my life. And the more I walked down that path, the more interested I became. And the more I saw in my lifetime all these thousands of cities revitalize and our hometown hasn't, it bothers me. And I get a little emotional about it. But, you know where I live. I live with people that don't have a lot of means. And I see them working really hard, and I see their kids doing well in school. And I believe that those people, those hardworking people's children, deserve the same amenities that people in San Diego or Visalia or Pleasanton, where I used to work, the same amenities they have, whether that's a sports field or whether it's an opportunity to be in a play or whether it's to be able to go downtown and feel proud of the city that you live in.
Let's talk about what people are saying. So what are the people that are for this saying? I imagine it's what took you so long.
Yeah, well, I have a few people that go, well, I would have done it this way. And I'm like, I've been working on this for 10 years. You could have done it if you wanted it. But this is the best combination of ideas I can come up with. Really, it's been very positive. And quite frankly, any business that you're in, you have to know what your target audience is, right? You're not going to have a hip hop band and try to aim it at 90-year-olds, right?
Right.
I mean, know what
you might get one or two.
Yeah, but you're going to spend a lot of time and effort getting those two, right? So you want to go where your market is. And my market, I would identify as people who've seen what's going on downtown. They've seen the $22 million investment that's going in. They've seen more housing and those kinds of things beginning to happen. They saw all the people that were at Peeves, and they're saying, this is headed the right direction. I want to have a little piece of it, and I want to help propel it a little bit faster, right? And if they're not in that mindset already, if like downtown's stupid, this is never going to work or whatever, that's not my target audience.
You're
we
like,
just go, that's cool.
I appreciate your opinion.
I appreciate your opinion
nice
now, yeah. I'll move on to the next person. And there are plenty of positive people now. So if this was 10 years ago, where we're still fighting over the mall and there weren't any lofts, I mean, the lofts are at 90% occupancy. They're getting the highest rents in our region. I mean, there are some really strong market forces here.
And there was a project that was going in by the Grizzly Stadium. Is there something going on? I mean,
that South Stadium project?
So there are different things. I mean, there are things in the work, because some people may say, a few construction projects doesn't mean big time. But it sounds like you've got neighboring projects that are coming in.
Sure, yeah. The site where that's going to go is the current construction equipment site. So they can't get started until that's done. There was no other place to put all that stuff. But that's moving forward. I mean, Kepler School project behind the old PG&E building. I mean, there's more apartments going in without any subsidy, like the original ones had to have. So all that stuff is moving forward really well. Again, I'd say just, come down to one of my Fulton Mall construction walks, or call me and I'll meet you down there and we'll get coffee, or go see Bitwise. That is such a great example of the positive vibe that's happening. And again, it might not be you that likes it, but go see all the people that do like it, right? Because that's what really matters.
How can people find out more information about what you're doing?
Well, FultonStreetInvestors.com is our website. And Fulton Street Investors LLC is the name of our Facebook page. Those are probably the best two sources. My phone number's on there, my email's on there. I'll answer any questions that people have. I mean, I like building community, so I have a track record of doing that. Most people have been watching me for probably longer than they wish, but that's what I love. If you want to go down there and meet coffee, you have 7 friends you want me to come meet, and I'll talk in your living room to them, whatever it is. I want this to be a personal connection, not just some investment that you're in, halfway around the world that you don't even know what they do.
Well, Craig, thank you for coming on the program and sharing with us some exciting, different things happening on the Fulton Mall.
Absolutely. It's been a blast as always.
Thank you. That's all for this edition of the Central Valley Ledger. Thank you to our volunteer crew that made this production and every production possible. We couldn't do this without you. We're sitting in the Merlin D. Burris Studios on the beautiful campus of California State University, Fresno, of which I'm an alumni of. Thank you to the audience members listening to this broadcast on 90.7 FM KFSR Fresno, and to those watching on Comcast 93 and AT&T 99. Hope you enjoyed the program this week. Tune in next week to a new edition.
KFSR and CMAC present the Central Valley Ledger every Sunday morning at 11:30. For a complete program schedule, visit kfsr.org.